Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pugmire Pioneer Puppers, episode 13. And I need to turn that volume down. We have made it to lucky number 13.
Woo! Oh, also Talon.
Yee.
You forgot to give me another card.
I did. I will give it to you now.
Thank you, Talon. Jess and I realized we were like, why do I only have one? And then we were like, oh, wait. Last session.
Oh, that's what I was doing. That can keep going.
There you go.
Thank you, Talon.
Alright, so when we last left off, there was a bit of drama happening in multiple directions.
Indeed.
Ooh.
So, we will be picking back up the next morning. Bright and early. Literally before the sun has crested above the hills. The birds have not begun to chirp or sing yet, and the world is just starting. There is the ever-present sound of the early morning night soil wagons being dragged through the town to get rid of the dirt and detritus and garbage of the citizens, and there is, unbeknownst to the party, a murder taking place.
Oh.
Oh, fuck.
Down a quarter of the alleys in the West Wall Quarter, near the Pioneer Guild, a very young but also somewhat prominent noble has been murdered and robbed. There is, unknown to the police who have not arrived yet, no evidence whatsoever connecting a means or a motive for this murder. And we will come back in as the party is beginning to wake up at about 7:30 in the morning.
So I think for Alexandria, considering everything that has happened, I think she had a very fitful night of sleep. I think that her mind throughout that was racing. I think a lot of it was consideration of what Rex said about pulling her head out of her ass. Yeah, I knew that was coming. So I think that morning she gets up, she crosses the room over to her mirror. And I think she, for the first time in a long time, she spends the first part of that morning looking at herself and considering what she has done in recent days as she's getting ready. And yeah.
Okay, well, Rosabella's morning starts off with her muscles actually being very sore. As she probably was, who she was in charge, her and Rosemary were in charge of the of Makoto and Kane, who could handle himself, but she had taken high charge of that situation and was basically doing it alone by herself since Rosemary had decided to, abandon duties, essentially. So she's a little sore from doing something a little more exaggerated instead of. I imagine it's a lot different than it was with Alexandria. She never really did this kind of thing with Alexandria because Alexandria would do it with somebody else. Mm-hmm. It wasn't her type of thing to do. She was most of the time training and around the time that she came back would probably have been not that long before you left.
No.
But so she's a little peopled out,
Mm.
but she's getting herself back up and combing herself, making herself look ready for the day, stretching, doing some morning stretches, and I suppose after that she might go take a walk, do a light morning walk or something like that.
Yep, you can either walk around the grounds or you can actually walk the quarters. The choice is completely yours.
I think the grounds. I think it'd be nice to go outside.
It's a fairly foggy morning. The dew is hanging heavy on the air. There is that thick scent of just moisture everywhere that's typical of a river society. It's a very thick fog. Fairly hard to see through, but you can navigate pretty well by sound and smell alone, because you know this area like the back of your paw.
I'm just realizing it took me off of Rosabella is going to kind of be a little. Has it been this foggy before?
Yeah.
Or is this like?
It's something that happens when the weather begins to change.
Okay.
So when the warm air starts hitting the cold water, it produces a lot of fog.
Okay. As personally somebody who doesn't necessarily like fog, but I imagine that Rosabella is actually fairly used to this type of environment, so she's gonna just continue a little more, like cautiously, but she knows her way around. But yeah. What's everybody else up to?
Yeah, what's everybody else's morning plans? Because I know what Alexandria's next steps would be.
Yep. What's Echo doing this morning? Practicing? Studying your spell book and adding new spells to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just shooting off random spells.
Yes. Practice them cantrips, huh?
Yeah.
Alright. So what is Brianna doing? Bayo?
Sorry, my mic was on mute.
You're alright. I didn't know if you were golfing again.
No, not today. Golfing was not planned today. I think I saw my friends, the one in Japan. I think she's playing Stardew Valley with the one in the US.
God, that could be us, Bea.
Unfortunate. Anyway. So I think...
Are you okay?
Uh-oh.
I think she
Sorry,
laughed
I
too
took a
hard
drink
and
and
choked.
started laughing. I started laughing as soon as I had taken a drink. Breathe, yes, breathe.
So, I think waking up, right? Brianna, I think, she's also maybe not hugely in the mood to socialize too much. And she goes straight to the kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
As they try to summon for me for golfing. But, she'll look like, could you bring me, some breakfast and some, I don't know, something to drink. And then she'll kind of like send off a message to Rex. Grandfather, I'm in the kitchen. I have some work plans that need your approval. And she'll just wait for a response.
Yeah, he'll... instead of responding, he just kind of comes running down the servant stairs, which is usual for him. He is. I mean, nobles are not supposed to use the servant stairs, but Rex does not care. It's the fastest route from his study to the kitchen.
Yeah, I kind of like pat the seat next to me. I imagine there's like an island, right,
Yep.
like in the kitchen.
Yeah. After a few minutes, one of the servants will pour you some tea, and they'll slide some breakfast over, probably some eggs or something.
I want to say like one of the servants, probably the one who served me, like I just like gently grab their wrist, look, it's like, thank you, and then I'll look at this. So, grandfather, I had some plans that I would like your approval on. I think I need just a bit of work for myself today.
I actually understand that rather well. So while you're out and he's leafing through the papers, or if you have any papers for him to look over, and
yeah, I probably would have had some to look at, and I'd like move them over to him.
why don't you take the boy with you for a while? He needs to get out of the house and needs to see the way that we actually live. And he's kind of signing without reading a lot of it. As you notice, he doesn't seem to be the reading type. Like, he can read, but he's the methodical finger on every word kind of reader.
So as you're signing away, grandfather, I was thinking it might be in the best interest of the Pomeranian family to, or just, just the general, the children should be taken care of. And I'm thinking we should take the initiative to maybe build an orphanage, something to take care of them.
That's not the most horrible idea. Now, it's going to take a lot of money, a lot of capital to build up an orphanage.
I'm thinking I could go meet with some of the other nobles today and maybe see if we could turn this into a group initiative that we are spearheading.
Yeah.
Or would you prefer that it is solely in our image that we set up this orphanage?
Oh, no, I'm fine with that, but if you put the Pomeranian name on things like that, people are going to expect military training to come out of it. It's kind of our heritage, as it is.
I'm hoping that we can turn it into more.
Tell you what, and he actually waves over one of the servants and whispers into their ear, I'm going to give you carte blanche on this one. You have full control. Everything, anything you want to do with it, and he actually hands you the family signet ring. I want to see how high you can fly, or if you're going to pull an Icarus on this one.
I want to say, I think there's a really soft look. Thank you for trusting me.
So you have my permission, and a few minutes later, one of the servant that he sent off comes back carrying a strong box bound with a ancient padlock. And it is set on the counter in front of you, and a key is placed in your paw.
I want to say, I think as much as I think I'd try to conceal, I think there is like a very slight tremble. And I guess I'll open the thing.
There is within the strongbox there are 3 compartments. One is full of plastic, the other is full of jewels, and the last compartment, which is the smallest, has a single rolled up parchment in it that, when unrolled, reads that the bearer of the seal embossed on this parchment has full authority to work within the name of the Pomeranian family. It is a legal document authorizing whoever signs the document and with the matching seal to work within and use the Pomeranian family name however they so choose for this endeavor.
May I have a grandfather?
You roboted on that. Say it again.
I said, I like kind of like tilt my head towards like grandfather. May I have a hug?
He will kind of awkwardly at first pull you into a one-handed hug and then just go with the full bear hug. I trust all of my kids and grandkids except for one. You always
Yes.
make me proud, and you can, even if you fail, you always have a home here.
I want to say she like tearily like nods and like tries to like discreetly like wipe a tear away. Thank you, grandfather. I will probably head out around about an hour. I for the excursion yesterday, I left early. I will be sure to message everyone I made to kind of issue an apology, But did you hear anything of how it went? Did it go well? Do you know?
I was really not paying that much attention. I was caught up, and he actually pulls out several scrolls that have his signature and the family seal on them, mostly pertaining to the fact that the army was mobilized for Alexandria.
I see.
Yeah, I have to, basically, I have to come and explain to the king why the army was mobilized.
Would you prefer I go speak to the king, or?
This is, as the head of the household, if I'm gonna have to take the licks, I'm gonna take the licks. But, I mean, she had a valid reason, and it was understandable, but still, sometimes you gotta think a bit before you call in the big guns.
Mm-hmm. What was she calling them in for?
Well, when, how much of the whole story of your brother being, sent out from the family have you heard?
I feel like I got one letter one day telling me he had passed, and then another telling me that he had not passed. So I'll be honest, grandfather, I think I would like in the future to maybe be a little more in the know.
Yeah, sorry, that was your father's doing.
Mm.
All of it. Unfortunately, I was off on business for the month that happened, and had just arrived back when your sister began snooping.
Mm.
He will break into the story of how your father basically was pulling shady deals and involving your brother Kane, and
Mm-hmm.
how he was basically used as the scapegoat
Mm-hmm.
and was forced out of the household and was declared dead.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, just to the immediate family. It wasn't like there was no funerary service or anything. He was essentially disowned, but it was against Rex's orders. So when Rex
Mm-hmm.
found out, he started contacting Kane and gave him a mission to basically be a covert agent for the
Mm-hmm.
Mutts. And he not in so many words, but he recaps everything that's happened and finishes with, and then he was kidnapped, and that's how we ended up with Makoto.
Uh, he sounds eventful, grandfather. Perhaps I will find time to personally catch up with him today too.
That might be best. So from what I've heard from, he looks around and Mao, it's not 100% decided that they'll be getting married. She may just be living here for a while as an exchange, but the current story is that they are engaged to keep the other nobles from being, well, flipping their wigs, as it were.
I can try to assist in that effort. I'll spend time with her too.
Thank you. I appreciate
Of course.
it.
Yes. I will have to make up for yesterday. Well, grandfather, I'm going to go make some arrangements for the day, and she'll like squeeze his hand. I love you, and then she'll go.
Yeah. Out of real quick, Jess has something she wants to say, and then will
Mhm.
Bea be going back to her room?
No.
Okay. Well, Alexander's gonna come looking here in a second, but go, Jess.
I was gonna say around that time, I figured Rosabella would probably have finished her work and be coming back and probably to grab a snack.
Mhm.
But as soon as she sees Brianna and Rex in there, she just kind of stops at the doorway, like mid-step, and just, "Oh, am I interrupting anything?"
No, you can go ahead and take my seat, Roosevelt. I'm just on the way out. I have some plans for the day. By chance, how did it go?
Oh, yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Well, you won it honestly.
I suppose. How did it go? And she sits back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did everything.
Not that like Brianna has anything against Rosabella, but she will go ahead and not real dice. Go
You
for a
can use
sense
real
motive
dice
check.
if you have to. Go ahead
No,
for the
no.
sense motive.
Well, I was doing it out of like a reflex.
Yeah, I don't mind as long as you.
Yeah. Sense motive. What is this text? Okay.
Yeah, if you're not on dark mode, you can read the text. It's kind of annoying.
Okay.
Well, regardless of
Yeah.
what it is, she's not lying.
Right. Right.
She will go on to be more like I followed the she reaches into her bag and pulls out the like whole itinerary that
Mhm.
Brianna had, and just I followed everything that you had put down on here. I don't know if that I don't know if you exactly wanted us to continue that, but I figured it was best to stick to schedule. Um but yeah, it was mostly, if not all, me. I made sure to keep them entertained.
Brianna will kind of like gently take the schedule, and she'll look in, then she'll like kind of like tuck it somewhere, and she'll kind of like make eye contact with Rex. Grandfather, we might be speaking later.
He just kind of harumps as he sips his coffee.
Mhm.
And if I may,
You may.
You may want to tell Rosemary to put a snub on that little habit of hers.
Oh, habit, you say?
Well, it's not necessarily polite to go take smoke breaks whenever you are, put in charge. Rosabella's face shows like the slight irritation, but there is a little bit of a smirk because she has a bit of understanding of that was not okay, and it's one of those things of this needs to get nipped in the bud type thing. Because she was frustrated by being put completely in charge in that situation, especially because she's like, what do?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But she's just gonna
while you're going through this, and as Brianna is trying to slip away,
that's not what I was doing.
Well, Rex pulls out a small piece of paper out of a specific pocket. Like, he had to unclasp a button to open this pocket. He pulls it out and hands it to Brianna. It's a pink slip.
I'll take the pink slip. I see. I will speak with Rosemary before I do anything with this grandfather. Thank you, though. Thank you. And so Rosabella, when you told her Brianna might have tried to like mask it, but you probably saw a lot of heartbreak on her face.
Oh.
Well, thank you, Rosabella. I guess I will be having this conversation with her very soon, because I assume if I'm going to be going out for the day, I should make sure that she understands what her place is. And I like, please take care of Miss Rosabella. But I will take my leave now, and Brianna will walk out.
Yeah.
For real this time.
Yep. As you're walking out, you hear, "Give 'em hell."
God, about that time, I think Alexandria has gotten ready for the day, and I think she steps out of the room and begins. I think at first she walks to Brianna's room, kind of knocks on the door, doesn't hear a response.
I think
pretty.
when you knock on the door, it would probably swing open as the maids are in there currently cleaning and making the bed.
So I think with that, Alexandria kind of clears her throat a bit and just, "Have you seen Brianna?"
No, ma'am. She's probably about the grounds, though. Do you need us to take care of your room next? Do you have any laundry or anything?
I would quite appreciate that. Thank you. If you happen to run into her before I do, please send her my way.
Of course. And they'll
And-
continue tidying.
And so I think with that, Alexandria kind of steps away from the door, walks down the hall a little bit, and she doesn't often do it, but since I imagine at that point she's probably by herself, I think she lifts her head just a little bit, and her little nose twitches, and she's gonna try and like figure out which way Brianna went after she left her room. Like try and scent it a little bit.
Okay, search would be... This would actually be a search roll.
Oh no.
It says you are trying to track her by scent.
Good luck.
I got that. I don't want to. It's fine. We have cards for a reason. Oh,
11.
that's not bad.
That's not bad. She's not concealing, and she does have a fairly distinctive smell. Everyone in the house does. So you would be able to scent her perfume fairly easily, which is strongest coming from downstairs.
All right. So I think with that, Alexandria lifts her chin a bit and begins to follow the path by the scent of Brianna's perfume. And so I think at first it takes her near the kitchen. She can pretty quickly tell that she's not there, or at least she is. It's been a little while since the scent is fainter. So I think she turns on her heel and starts following it until the point it's getting stronger and she can actually see Brianna. And I think she's just, Theo.
I don't know if at this point I would have found Rosemary.
Rosemary would probably be in the guards barracks at this point in time. It's a few minutes walk from the kitchen, so.
Okay, then I guess I would have gone, because like I imagined that the chat with grandfather would take some time to chat with Rosabella.
Mm-hmm.
Would take some time. You know, we had a little bit of a breakfast, so I imagine I be talking to Rosemary at that moment. So is she coming to that?
She would probably be, because the guards barracks are in the house. They're just on one of the farther wings on the first floor. So, yeah, she would probably be coming to the guards barracks or coming through the door at about that time.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have a bit of a chance to chat with Rosemary before she reaches you.
Okay. So I guess I would have found Rosemary then, and then I guess this would have been just slightly before Alexandria would have showed up. Then, yes,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
okay. Rosemary, may I have a chat with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. And I'll kind of like lead her to maybe somewhere private in the gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? So, like, I guess when we get there, right? And I pat the seat next to me for Rosemary.
She'll sit down and
Can
kind of deflate. She realized she messed up.
can you tell me in your own words how did yesterday go?
I let my feelings for Rosabella get in the way of my duties, and I kind of just watched her do everything.
You know, you have been employed at my side for many years.
I know, and it was dumb, and I realize I made a mistake, and I was angry, and I don't know even why I dislike Rosabella the way I do. You take a look at her, and she has a black eye.
Why do you have a black eye, Rosemary?
Let's just say that when I got back to the barracks last night, I was asked what was going on because I was in a bit of a tizzy, and I ended up getting into a fight with one of my bunkmates because they basically told me how dumb I was.
Hmm.
She's being fairly evasive, but it doesn't seem like she's lying.
Mm-hmm. I know that sometimes maybe I can be a bit much, Rosemary, but I need you to be honest with me. Is this a job you want to be doing?
I enjoy the work, ma'am, but I sometimes I let my emotions get ahead of me, and I do stupid things.
This is what I will say to you, Rosemary. If you intend to stay under my employment, we're going to need to make some changes.
Yes, ma'am.
If at any point you decide this is not for you, we can have this conversation. I will work with grandfather to pick a new guard. I would like to not to, because I would like to think in 3 years that I can at least call you somewhat of a friend, Rosemary.
She kind of just her ears droop, and her demeanor just deflates a bit.
Today I have some plans that I will of course have you accompany me on. When we return today, I will be speaking to Grandfather Rex about perhaps further training for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You are a reflection of my person. Please do not sully that image.
She just kind of nods sullenly.
How close to 8 o'clock are we?
I would be fairly close to it, like within a minute or two.
I'm going to go retrieve. His name is, I believe, Ali. And then we are going to go out for today. Be ready in the next 5 to 10 minutes, please.
Yes, ma'am.
And then without saying anything more, I would, I guess, start getting up to then go seek out Ali, and I guess that's where maybe Alexandria
Find you.
Yeah.
Probably like still in the gardens. So I think she kind of sees Bayo almost from a bit of a distance, picks up her pace, stepping around, bushes she has walked through since she was a pup. And obviously well trimmed and all that. And I think she just Bayo, may I have a word with you?
I will be honest, Alexandra. You already had a moment with me last night, and I think today I need to do some work so that I am not saying unkind things.
You're welcome to. I didn't necessarily say kind things either.
Okay. Perhaps later, but I'm not going to make promises I can't keep for today.
Of course. I'm sorry, Bayo.
And she will not, and she will kind of just go off to see one of the maids.
So I think the minute her back is turned and she's far enough away, I think Alexandria's ears droop, her tail droops. She lets out a soft little sigh, takes a minute to pull herself together, turns on her heel, and starts walking back to the main house. At this point, she's going to seek out Rex next.
Mm-hmm. He's easy enough to find. If he's not in his study going over paperwork, he's in one of the training rooms or doing something about the house. He's the kind of person that never really sits still for long.
Where would she locate him?
Around 8 o'clock in the morning, he would probably be signing the weekly reports in the study.
So I think she approaches his door, which I imagine is likely shut, and she knocks on it twice before pushing the door open. Grandfather?
Yes, he's just signing away, going through documents and filling out, writing for taxes and all that.
May I have a moment of your time?
He'll set the pen down and kind of rotate his wrist a bit. Certainly.
So with that, she'll step in, kind of shut the door behind her, cross over to the chair across from him, and settle in it, placing her hands in her lap. And I think for the first time in a long time, she keeps it hidden by turning her wrist, but she's definitely toying with the lace at the end of her dress, repeatedly. I believe that I owe you an apology as well. As much as I am loath to do it, because I am absolutely dreadful at it, I may have been, in my attempt to act as a proper member of the Pomeranian family and the best example that I could be, a rather poor example of our values.
I mean, you're still young, you're still learning.
Right. I was hoping I could ask for a favor.
Out with it.
So I think she takes a little deep breath, kind of levels her chin at him, and just... I was hoping to perhaps be able to request more training. If I am to properly represent our family, then I need more education in the matters where I lack. And I know that you also have more connections than I do, so perhaps a second favor. I was hoping, perhaps, to have access to them to track down more information on my father and his current whereabouts.
He kind of chuckles at that. He stands up, walks around the desk. Something he doesn't normally do while talking to any of his children or grandchildren. And he will actually plant himself directly in front of Alexandria. Taking both of her paws in his hands, he will lower himself to her eye level, maintaining eye contact. So, reality is finally starting to hit home, huh?
Perhaps a bit more than I like.
Good. I'm happy
Her
to
ears
see
turn
it.
back at that. Her ears turn back just a little bit.
If you keep that feeling, then you'll know what mistakes to avoid in the future.
Like arguing with Brianna and treating Rosabella the way I have in the past.
That, and some other things. Guilt and self-resentment are things that let you know that you've been a complete ass about things.
Her ears are further back and I can admit that I have, though I will not pretend that doesn't sting.
Sometimes the truth does hurt. But, yes, I will grant you the extra training. And while I do have contacts that can help you, perhaps, and as he draws away, there is a small badge left in Alexandria's hands. It might be better for you to seek them out and also use the contacts you've made.
So I think as he says that, she kind of flips the badge around in her paw.
It is a badge for the Inquisition.
So I think with that, she kind of takes it in for a second and raises her gaze back to his and just... Are you implying that I go to the Inquisitors?
I mean, they are the closest thing to a police force that Pugmire has, other than the Royal Guards.
Of course. Why do you have one of their badges on your person? Or at least available to you?
Well, let's just say I worked with them about 15 years ago.
Would she have ever heard stories about this as a pup?
No.
So I think she kind of raises a brow at him and just, are you going to elaborate on that, or are you going to leave me in the dark to figure it out on my own?
Maybe someday. Right now it's not as important as you think it is.
Right. So I think her paw closes around that badge. And I think she knows better than to place that on herself, as she is not an Inquisitor. So instead, she carefully sticks it into the pocket on her dress. Gives him a short nod and just, I will do my best to make you proud.
You always do, and whether you succeed or fail, you are always family and you're always welcome here.
Of course. Thank you, Grandfather. And with that, I think she pushes herself back, kind of stands up, dusts her dress off, walks to the door, stopping in the doorway to place a paw against the frame before she opens it.
As you do that, he calls out, one last thing.
Of course.
Give her time to cool off.
I fear she will never cool off, necessarily.
Well, you said some things, she said some things, I said some things. We are still family, and we need to realize that we're not the only person. The sun doesn't revolve around us. Even I need to remember that lesson a few times, and he kind of sits down and goes back to filling out forms.
So I think it's on the tip of her tongue for just a moment for Alexandria, because to her, the sun has never necessarily revolved around her. Because she's always been standing behind her siblings for every little thing she has done. But I think she knows better than to say that now. So instead, she kind of bows her head back towards him one final time, opens the door, steps out, shuts it, and goes on her next... I'm going to let Bayo go so Bayo can talk to the maids, but she definitely would begin the path of tracking down Rosabella. Rosabella.
What is our dear old Rosabella doing right now?
You were having breakfast.
She indeed was having breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
How much time has passed since that talk in the kitchen?
Probably about a half an hour.
Half an hour? Okay, that's not... I mean, more than likely what she did was grab maybe some bread and eggs. So You probably catch her at the end, probably trying to wash her own dish.
As you're trying to, one of the maids is like, no, you're a knight now. You don't do
Absolutely
this.
not. Absolutely not. I am very capable of washing my own dish. I can very well do this myself.
So
Now, if you please, allow me to finish washing this.
Yes, ma'am. And the maid kind of just skulks back into a corner and sits down on a stool and begins peeling potatoes for supper.
Oh.
Rosabella just kind of lets off a little giggle and just smiles as she continues to just scrub away at her plate and just cleaning up all the dishes that that have been dirtied for her use, because more than likely she made her own eggs as well, because she's very independent and she probably has always done this. So around that time, I guess would be when
Alexandria finds her. As Alexandria enters the place that she like never goes. She never really has a reason to enter that kitchen.
So Rosabella would not notice her come in at first. Like, honestly, she's just enjoying herself right now.
Yeah.
It's early in the morning. She's actually not used to Alexandria being up this early.
No. So I think Alexandria kind of stands in the doorway for a moment, paws folded behind her back, before just Rosabella.
Her ears perk up and she turns as has a dish that she's currently drying. Ah, what an odd place to see you.
Let's not mention it. Can I steal you for a moment?
She looks at her dish that she has almost finished drying, looks at the maid, finishes drying her dish and puts it away. Yes, I am able to at the current moment.
Right. If you would follow me then. And she'll just kind of like lead the way up, and I think there's like this almost awkward silence that isn't normally there between the two of them.
The maid just kind of rolls her eyes as the two of you walk out.
Rosabella leans down a little bit and she's upset because I'm doing my own dishes.
So I think of that, she sees a little smile play across like Alexandria's lips before she shakes her head and just, well, I know a quick way to fix that. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Would you perhaps be able to run Grandfather a bit of tea to his study when you get a moment?
Certainly, ma'am.
And feel to make yourself a cup as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And with that, she'll give like a little nod of acknowledgement and then just...
As she's leaving, Rosabella, don't work yourself too hard. As she leaves.
If you don't stop teasing the maids.
I'm just trying to tell them to not work themselves to death.
At this point, you are teasing them.
And it gets a smile on their face or an eye roll. It's an enjoyable moment. I'm just saying.
And I believe if you were not a knight, you would be a gambler instead. At this point. But come on. And with that, she'll like lead her up the stairs, up to her own bedroom. Kind of push the door open, hoping the maids aren't in there yet.
Or if they have finished.
Yeah, either they have finished or they haven't.
Probably in that time frame.
Yeah. And if they're not in there or they have finished, whichever the option is there, she'll go ahead and like open the door and kind of wave for Rosabella to go ahead and enter the room ahead of her.
Rosabella just goes in. Although she is curious as to what this conversation is going to be, but she walks in. So,
give me a moment. And so Alexandra will shut the door, and then this is a stupid thing. Knowing that there is like a gap in her door, I think she goes over.
Cheers.
Yeah. Not just that, but the top and the bottom. She goes over, regretfully pulls the very nice sheets off of her, blanket off of her bed, walks over, kind of has to drag a chair over for a moment, and steps up on it, stuffs the gaps of the door so it's a little harder to hear what they're saying, with the fucking nice comforter.
Rosabella just... So, is there an explanation for this? This seems a little bit extra for a conversation.
Well, it's a serious conversation, and there are certain topics that I feel you would not wish to be overheard.
Rosabella just kind of side glances at, gives her side eye.
Can I roll a notice check to see if Alexandria
Yes.
sees the side eye?
Yes, you can.
Bombastic side eye. Oh, it's a 4.
You don't see the bombastic side eye.
But I think with that, like it's when she's stepping off the chair, kind of brushing her dress off again. And Rosabella knows Alexandria well enough to know that she is someone who's generally well put together. But I think for the first time in a long time, she sees Alexandria toying with like the edges of her sleeves, overly fussing, trying just that nervous habit of hers. And she just, do you remember when we were younger?
I mean, of course. What moment are you speaking of?
When we first met?
At this, Rosabella's ears kind of twitch a little.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like go down. I'm just holding the gun. Sorry.
It's really threatening, and I've been here silently the entire time, like she's gonna shoot me.
I
She's
needed
gonna shoot
something
me.
to fiddle with.
Yeah.
But she quickly schools her emotion, but her ears didn't necessarily fully go down, but there is a slight twitch to them, as if they wanted to go down at the memory of that first day. And she just, I do.
I have reason to believe that you did not join the family willingly.
I didn't.
And if I'm honest, I've never been good at handling conversations like this. But I feel on behalf of the family, and as myself, I owe you an apology.
Rosabella just sighs, and a light smile plays on her face, and she just, I mean, I can't necessarily blame you for the entire thing. There was a time that I did. I mean, there was a time I resented you. I'm not going to lie. I resented more of the pressure and the job itself of what I had to do instead of what I wanted to do. But I don't need that apology. Thank you. But you aren't the one who needs to apologize, nor is the person who should be the one apologizing would I ever accept it.
Of course.
But taken as this conversation is going, how'd you figure it out?
Do you remember the night that Kane went missing? And I think with that, she's crossing the room to settle down on the bed, where I imagine Rosabella probably settled. And almost like they're pups again, she kind of settles across from her, crosses her legs to sit crisscross in a way that is possibly slightly improper, considering all things.
Hold on.
Okay. Are we both gonna go ahead and sit cross-legged? Okay. Yep. Wait, I don't have enough chairs, so I'm gonna balance my legs.
So you're just gonna use
I'm gonna use you. Yes.
Okay. Yes, I remember that very vividly. Why?
I had a dream that night, more of a memory than anything. It's why I left that night. You didn't wake up when I left, and I had apologized at that time. I was going to go speak with Kane and confirm that my memory was not false. I remembered that first day you ever came, and I remember the collar around your neck.
At the word of the collar, she stiffens visibly, sits up a little straighter, and a light, moment of a scowl appears on her face for a just a split second, because she understands that she no longer wears the collar, nor has she worn the collar for a while. But it was the initial statement of what that collar meant and that it had hurt her. She schools herself again and just takes in a deep breath and lets it out. The collar, yeah.
I was going to offer to see if perhaps we could get a hold of it again to destroy it. Even if it holds no power now, symbolically, it is a path that the Pomeranian family should no longer follow, nor should any family.
I mean,
I think as she's thinking, Alexandria kind of sits her paw down, palm up, in the space between them.
Rosabella just kind of looks at it for a moment and lightly puts hers on top and looks at Alexandria and she just kind of cocks her head to the side a little bit and just, we don't have to. I mean, the whole thing needs to get destroyed regardless of what its story is and what connection I have with it. There should never be one of those. Nobody should have to go through that.
Of course.
So if we do find it, it needs to be destroyed. But it does not necessarily have any tie to me. I would rather not look at that thing ever again.
Of course, and I will do my best to assure that you do not have to. But tying into that, I was going to speak with grandfather about, I can't look seriously. I was going to speak with grandfather about perhaps releasing you from whatever bonds still
At
hold
this,
you.
Rosabella just goes ahead and she just, about that. We didn't really have the time to speak about this. A lot's been on my mind since. Apologies.
Well, you're not necessarily the one that owes me an apology at this time, but I'm getting nervous what you're leading up to.
Actually, I'm already freed.
You are?
Yes.
I mean, that's wonderful. I'm glad for you. I'm just surprised.
Well, you see, as she talks, she moves her paw from Alexandria's hand, and she starts talking with her hands a little bit, or her paws.
Yeah.
And just, the talk I had with your grandfather, at the end of that, it was discussed of my freedom. There's been something I've been meaning to talk to you about. It's mostly something I need to talk to him about. Kind of gain a little bit of information, I suppose. But I need to leave for a bit.
You go where exactly?
Her face had been kind of stable for a little bit, but a soft smile. Mostly, there's a bit, while it's a sweet smile, it's unsure. I have someone I need to see.
Of course, I would never stop you, but
not to be rude or anything, but it doesn't necessarily matter if you wanted to stop me. I mean, this is something I am doing regardless.
No, and I didn't mean that necessarily, Rosabelle. It's, you know, I've never been good at things such as this.
Such as a goodbye or a see you later.
Either one, as well as apologies.
Which is understandable.
But continue. Who exactly are you going to go see?
My sister.
You have a sister? She definitely like leans forward at that, like hand on her thigh, like eyes wide.
Yeah. I've had a sister this entire time, just so you know.
Well, you don't exactly get a new sister overnight. I mean, you can, but it's not. You know what I mean. But
You
why?
never knew about her. I've never mentioned her.
Can I ask why?
Do you really need to ask that question?
That feels like a question you don't necessarily want to answer. I'm assuming, based on your reaction, has something to do with the family.
I thought it would just be pure knowledge at this point, and, you know, not necessarily something that... There is a lot that I went through
Of course.
that you don't know about. Maybe one day. Because it's not... Rosabella has a little bit of trouble finding the words to exactly express herself and express the struggles that she had went through, but in the end she just kind of lets out a sigh and hangs her head for a moment and lifts it back up and just... I could never tell you about her. I wasn't allowed to. It wasn't important.
It wasn't important, or...
And not to mention, I feared mentioning her to anyone for what would be done if any questions came.
So I imagine, perhaps, that she was a ploy in whatever led you here, based on those words.
Led me here, as in the job? No. Well,
To my father's employ.
he chose me out of us.
Right, but was she another card in his deck?
What do you think?
I think that she was. But I won't force you to speak about it, Rosabella.
Yeah. Not right now.
Of course. So we'll move on to other matters. Do you wish to stay as my guard? Willingly, of course.
I thought I already mentioned that. Well, I don't see a problem doing it. I've been doing it most of the time, and it does pay pretty good, and I gotta admit, there's a lot of advantages to being here. Although, you have to understand that while I may travel alongside you, I no longer necessarily am staying directly as your guard, but can companion be what I am.
I would be glad to accept that role, though it will take some adjustment. And there may be times that I need to continuously work on, as grandfather puts it, pulling my head out of my ass.
Oh, that you certainly need to do.
Her ears go back. She just... I understand that, but that still does not sting any less.
I've been telling you to get your head out of your ass for years.
You have, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't sting.
Good.
I know that my pride is overwhelming in capacity, but I appreciate it, and I will continue to work on it. And I owe you a great apology for my behavior over the years. I have tried my hardest to be a perfect representative of the family and the values that the family upholds, and in the end, all I did was make myself into a fool rather than a shining example.
You'll get the hang of it, kiddo.
Her tail wags a little bit at that, and she just, I will do my best, but I have one more matter to speak with you about.
And what may that be?
Do you remember, well, I suppose at this point I'm asking you the same question over and over. I'm not going to beat around the bush on this one, Rosabella. screw the pleasantries on it. When I took off several months ago, in the middle of the night, and I left no notice as to where I was going, I had begun to receive letters from a certain group of individuals as it was painted to me.
Rosabella's face contorts in so much anger as she remembers the talk with Rex, and the understanding of whom it was that sent the letters. Not that she says anything out loud, because she has not talked with Alexandria about this, and she wants to see where this is going, but she is furious once more.
So I think Alexandria for a second definitely thinks that anger is at her when she sees it on Rosabella's face. Because she does not have the context that she knows. So
but then again, you just said you've been receiving
letters. Yeah.
But like, as a guard, receiving letters unnoticed would irritate them. So like, it can be slightly understandable.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing, but I definitely think like just on instinct alone, she scratched back on the bed just a little bit. And reaches into into her bag that she had grabbed that morning and produces the letters.
Rosabella just looks down at them.
And she settles them down between them. I took off for one reason. I wanted to do whatever I could to assure the safety and survival of the Pomeranian family and yourself. I know that you have always been my guardian, but over the years I have considered you a friend and one of the dearest people to my heart. I thought that perhaps I would be up to the task of claiming whatever they were wishing for, which at this point has been coin and artifacts. However, instead, I made myself a target and an easily manipulated member of the line. I was informed by grandfather the other day they were from my father. It was not a mysterious group that had somehow gained access to our records. Instead, he had decided to form a bit of a addiction to gambling, if I remember properly, and had gotten himself in so deep that he had but he had collected a rather deep debt to the Badgers. As such, he chose me as the target, which I shouldn't be as surprised about, knowing father and his views. This is difficult to speak on, isn't it? To essentially, in a way, betray the family. Which was not my intent, but if it meant our survival, I was willing to do whatever. So, I spent those several months, I joined the Royal Pioneers in hopes of stumbling upon larger collections of plastic and artifacts, as it would allow me to supply their demands. And with that, she kind of reaches down and picks up the most recent letter, unfolds it, and passes it over to Rosabella.
Rosabella takes it.
And recently, I received that. Do you remember? Well, yet again, I'm just not great at this. When we were down in that first location.
Sorry, that confused us.
I know, it confused both of us. We saw the map change.
Yeah, I was just switching it for visual reference for the video.
Yeah. In the location slightly outside of Houndtown. Well, Houndton, sorry. I suddenly felt that a letter or something getting placed in my back pocket. I'm believing now perhaps it was a bit of magic. And it gave me a time limit. A limit which is quickly approaching. to get the best artifact that I could get my hands on and turn it over to them. That is part of the reason, repeatedly, I have had an interest in getting whatever would be the most valuable and keeping it on my person. And it is also the reason in the last several months that I have asked you to use your coin instead of mine. Because I believe the family coffers were beginning to go dry, and rather tapping into my own personal funds given by the family, I was hoping to limit the damage. And as I said, I joined the Royal Pioneers because of it. And I know it may seem foolish that I took off on a whim. Truthfully, did not even think to compare handwriting, and tried to assure the family's success and safety. But I wanted to do what was right. I know that I have not always necessarily been the best at being a good dog. After all, I'm a ratter by nature. I'm someone who is built more for gathering information and doing perhaps more shady dealings than anything direct. But I hope perhaps that explains my actions a bit more.
I understand. I get it. I hear what you're saying. Sorry. Why did you never talk to your grandfather?
Because I had hoped that keeping it quiet would prevent any lash out to the family. If I were to inform him, which I finally did last night after Brianna and I had a bit of a spat.
That explains. Anyways, continue.
Right, I will pretend that you did not say that. But I had hoped to protect him, to protect my siblings, and to protect you. And also to minimize any damage to the Pomeranian name.
Rosabella just kind of sits back and calms herself down. She's calmed down a little more throughout the conversation as Alexandria had continued, and she just so you know, now that I'm free, if I ever was to see your father again, I'm going to kill him.
Oh, of course. We're going to get to that topic in a moment, because I have more news on that. That is more than a bit alarming. I don't like the look you're currently giving me. You're giving me the look like you're sizing up what I'm about to say.
Well, it's either, if we're talking worst case scenarios here, I mean, it's not like yeah. God.
As she's saying that, Alexandria, she kind of like cannot make eye contact with her. She turns her head just slightly, pretending to take extreme interest in the thread count of her sheets.
So, wait. No. Rosabella reaches down and grabs her by the face and turns her towards her. And just, is your father loose?
So as she does that, I think Alexandria's, her ears kind of turn back, her tail droops, and she just, there's a massive possibility of that. I can give you the full story in a moment if you would remove your hand from my face before you crush my face with your rage.
Rosabella moves her hand and just, go on.
Right, so, as much as neither of us would have expected it, he managed to sneak out of the king's prison, evading the guards and everything else, and has currently likely taken residence with the Badgers.
Rosabella's irritation level is growing once again.
So I
And
think
she's starting to she rolls her shoulders and kind of like starts like popping her knuckles and just kind of rubbing her hands together as she just while a thought all of a sudden comes and she just sinks. After all that rage was building, just a mere thought of I need to go.
right. Would you rather make this a conversation when we walk, or would you rather be alone?
I need to go to the Branch family.
To the Branch family. Why would you? And I think she kind of looks at her for a second, then her eyes widen, and she just, sister.
Anytime your father was angry, I need to see that she's okay.
Right.
I need to make sure that
of course,
nothing's happened to her.
So I think as she's saying that, Alexandria stands up, pushes the chair away from the door, rips down the curtain. I will gladly just sit in the carriage. I'm going to charter one. And then I will not move a foot from it until you are finished with your conversation.
You have your own... You don't have to go.
Oh no, I will, because if there's a chance he is there, I get the first hit. I made a vow, Rosabella, you would be quite impressed by that. And with that, she kind of like opens the door, takes a deep breath, and just... Excuse me? Just hoping any maids are nearby.
Yeah, it only takes a second or so. Yes.
I need you to run to the stables quickly and alert the nearest carriage that we need transportation to the Branch family's home immediately.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell them to get it ready quickly as possible.
Yes, Mom. She scurries off, and you notice as she runs off, which none of you have noticed this before, but in the moment of like watching her go, there's actually a button on the wall that she presses as she's running down the stairs.
When we are not in a moment of crisis, I want to know what that does. And she's just gonna reach over, like run back over to the bed, hold out her hand for Rosabella.
I need to go speak to your grandfather first.
Right, I will head down to the carriages. I will assure that they are ready. I will gather perhaps Echo on the way. And
So
you get grandfather.
if someone wants to, go ahead and roll either Arcana or Knowledge Culture.
I would say culture, but I don't even know if they're really paying attention to it right now.
Right.
Because for them...
Well, you can roll for Rosabella.
Yeah, it's an offhand
sure.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
I need y'all to know that
13.
throughout this entire time, we were actually interacting with this.
right?
Nat 1 for Rosabella.
Dang.
Yeah, we're like literally like sitting here like doing everything. I got my face grabbed.
Yeah,
Again, the second
Alexandria,
time.
you would actually know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
That is a servant's bell.
Oh.
So when you hit the button, it sends out an alert to all the servants.
Oh.
Oh,
well.
shit. Well, shit. So I think she's just, actually, I remember what that does. If you're curious, it sends out an alert to all the servants. But I'm going now. You talk to grandfather. I will get...
Rosabella's not even really necessarily waiting for this for her.
I think she's just going. And
she's already on her way to go speak to Rex.
Yeah, so I think she just... Right, I will meet you down there. And she's going to take off to wherever she thinks Echo might be.
Yeah.
Rosabella is... Okay, do we need to go with somebody else? Because if not, then let's check with everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, Echo, where are you at?
Training area.
You're roboting a bit, but I think I heard you said training area.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So he would be in the mage court area, which is connected to the actual training area of the castle staff. It's not like a family dependent one, It's not the special training, it's the normal. So it probably has a few magical barriers up for spell practice and things like that.
Right. So I think all Eka will see is just Alexandria moving as quickly as she ever has, sliding to a stop, reaching out in hopes of like grabbing his paw and just, we need you. Come along, we don't have time to wait. And then, if possible, she will just start dragging him to the stables.
You get it doesn't take you long to get to the stables, as not the fancy carriage for like actual work functions and royal functions. This is the fast carriage. It probably seats 4 people max plus the driver. And it is sleek, black, and would be the equivalent of like a town car for a carriage. And it is pulled by one young wild stallion horse.
Oh my god. I love that so much. Is the driver like visible?
Yeah.
So would Alexandria know the name of this driver?
Go ahead. This would be just a straight wisdom roll to see if you remember their name.
Oh no. Okay, well it's a -1 to whatever I get, so give me a second. RD20. R/1D20. I might use a card on this. I'm using a card on this.
Really?
Yes, this is important to me.
Oof.
Yeah, no, she doesn't fucking know.
Nope.
Yep.
You've rode with him, but never really talked to him before. Your parents have. Your grandfather has. You've never really talked to the driver before.
Right. So I think she comes sliding in, probably the fastest he has ever seen her move, and she just kind of pales for a second before getting her composure back up of just, she doesn't know his name, and she just clears her throat and, as quickly as possible, I need you to get us back up to the main house, and then I need you to get to the Branch family. And with utter importance, I need no stops along the way.
Yes, ma'am. Climb on, I'll give you a ride.
Of course, thank you. And then feeling bad, she will go ahead and slide a couple plastics into his hand before climbing up into the carriage.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
just for constantly to anybody just slides a couple of plastics.
Yep.
Money speaks, and now she knows they're not going broke.
Yup. You get in, and as soon as you're settled in the seat, he snaps the reins, and it's like a full jerk. This is how fast this thing moves.
Oh god. So I definitely think she makes like an undignified like noise, and then just bites it down, straightens out her dress, and just, right, Echo, I'm not sure how much I can explain to you, but I will say that be on guard when we reach the Branch family, and if Rosabella needs anything from either of us, we will assure that we do it. And then she'll kind of like lean back and pull out her dagger and start sharpening her dagger.
Yup. Easy enough to do. Yeah, about this time, Rosabella, you would be making it to Rex's study, which we will go back to the normal city map for now.
So this is kind of the way I imagine this situation. So Rosabella runs, like she's been running this entire time, runs to the door, skids to a stop, looks at the door, sees it's closed, and looks around, just knows that she should knock, so she knocks on the door.
It's like the cursory knock, to knock, and then open and come in kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
As soon as you burst into the room, the first thing he says is, "Are we under attack?"
No.
He kind of gets a crestfallen look. All right, continue.
Bring the grandfather to fight.
Rosabella just... this was originally going to be a more different conversation. She is kind of in a not panicked, but panicked. Like her tone is, and she's like she's just like trying to figure out what to say fully because now she's just going. I originally was gonna ask about this to go visit the Branch family, but then a conversation happened. He's out.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah. So, yes. I've been looking into it. I've got a few sources. He slides a small dossier over to Rosabella. That will give you all the information you need. Go. You're in a hurry. Go on.
Okay. I originally was gonna ask for your permission, but okay, yep, I'm going. Thank you. She just books it out.
I like to imagine as she's getting up the stair, like outside, like the carriage is like pulling up like full speed. Alexandria leans over, sees her, throws the door open.
Oh, there's no door. This is a flatline carriage. There's no doors.
Oh God,
this is so dramatic.
You just climb in. There are no doors.
Even though it would do nothing, I think she just holds out a hand then to Rosabella and tries to help yank her in the carriage faster.
Rosabella doesn't even need her help. She just
no, Alexandria is weak as fuck.
Leaps.
She'll lean forward to the driver and just go.
Yep, on my way, and he takes off. So as you're riding along, you open up the dossier, and it is information on a branch of one of the Weasel clans. They are mostly ferrets. They are known for stealth and infiltration, but they are also fairly combative and known to be quite brutal. They are also quite intelligent and have started running a syndicate. Basically, they are doing the equivalent of the mob.
Oh my God. I love that.
So, as they're going and reading, Rosabella just, although she's very keyed up currently, she takes a moment to look at Alexandria and just, there was a part of me that had really hoped that I would go in there and he'd say that there was no problem, but the fact that your grandfather is even acknowledging the idea of this makes it more real.
Of course. What do you need from me currently?
I don't know.
Right, well, I will follow in your step.
Well, that's a little weird, isn't it?
More than a little bit, but we'll adapt to it. Hand the dossier over if you would.
Rosabella does.
So Alexandria is going to start scanning it.
Yep.
For anything that would stand out to her familiar-wise, like any knowledge she would know. Ow! I know we're out of a serious moment, you fucker! But goddamn!
It's mostly a list of crimes associated with this particular Badger clan, which they say Badger, but it's broken down into ferrets, badgers, beavers, weasels, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But racketeering, counterfeiting, extortion, things of this nature.
Right. Would she know anything about the ferret family, like just from things she's heard over the years?
Well, they don't technically have a name for the clan, not one that the dogs would know. It's just the way they're called badgers, but they're just a weasel type family. They are considered savages, but are trying to increase their standing in the whole. They're trying to move upward in crime, basically.
Yeah. Would she know anything in connection, like, if... Is there anything on that crime list that sounds familiar to something her father had done or wouldn't been known to do in any
Yes.
capacity?
Counterfeiting, racketeering, stealing objects and selling them off to the highest bidder,
All right.
drug running.
So would she be able to make the assumption, considering this was handed over to Rosabella about her sister and everything else, that this may be a group of interest that was working with her father at some point and has now become a threat, or some people that would be at his disposal in any capacity?
More that he is technically their prisoner.
Okay.
So the way it reads is they used him because he owed them a debt, so he was being used as an inside man. Now that he's no longer in the capacity, he is kind of technically their prisoner, if not outright their slave.
Okay. So I think as they're riding along with utter speed, wind blowing through their fur, Alexandria closes the dossier, slides it into her bag, and just... When we get finished here, and hopefully everything is all right, I didn't really get a chance to mention it, but she's going to produce the Inquisitor's badge from her bag. Well, from her pocket inside her dress. And just, I believe it best that we pay a bit of a visit to the Inquisitors, see if we can gather any information on Father's escape, and any information they would have as to the location of this group. Though, of course, I would recommend not asking necessarily directly, and asking in a more roundabout manner, as admitting that the family has been able to gather information such as this would not look necessarily good on us.
Rosabella just nods. Her mind is very preoccupied, currently speaking. But she is listening, but it's like listening underwater.
Yep.
As soon as we arrive at the Branch family's home, I will go... What are you looking at?
Keep going.
Okay. I will essentially distract. You may go as quickly, as far as you can. I will be behind you as soon as I can. But I will allow you the chance to gain better access to the grounds and to finding your sister wherever she may be on those grounds. As we will likely be greeted by members of the Branch family. I doubt they would take a carriage riding up with utter speed onto the grounds, favorably considering what the family is trained for.
True enough. I get what you're saying, but I can hold my own with them.
I know that you can, but I want to give you access to going as quickly as you can to your sister, but I am willing to allow you to handle those negotiations or that conversation as to why we are, with pure purpose.
You do realize they would know where she is quicker if we get that out immediately.
You're not wrong, and you can admit that you were looking for her. I wasn't sure if you would want to keep that calmer in case something has happened. Rather than... Well, I doubt the family would be working in any capacity with my father still, considering that he was disowned.
I just need to make sure she's okay.
Alright.
I know. When we get there, and we'll see what happens. We'll take it as it comes.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. So it takes you about a half an hour for a ride that would normally take you about an hour. As you know, they do not live in the castle district. They live outside nearer to the church. So it takes you about a half an hour to get there. You go through a few winding streets past the guild, and I need the three of you to roll me a notice check.
Okay. Oh, yes, you're actually here. Wait, I can make you roll your own shit.
Yeah, you
One
could.
second. Go, bitch. Roll a notice check.
How do I do that?
Hover over the dice and just click it, and this will come up, and I'll just click it and drag it and release it.
Where's the clicky?
You can just touch it and then go, meh. Yeah!
Woohoo! Dirty 20.
I'm gonna use
Okay.
my. Well, actually, no. I'll let Rosabella have this. Alexandria is distracted. Go.
Yeah, you got it. So, Rosabella would notice it first, but Echo would not be too far behind noticing. As you start pulling up to the gates of the Branch family's manor, the overwhelming scent of blood fills the air.
Rosabella gets her skin feels like it's crawling. She automatically goes for her sword. Like she's preparing herself and just blood.
Blood?
Blood. It smells like blood.
Right. So I think with that, Alexandria will follow Lee, grab out her dagger, and just stop the carriage!
Yep, he had already stopped. You are at the gates.
Yeah, so she'll go ahead and hop straight out and just.
Let's go then, let's see what's going on.
She doesn't even hesitate. She's already leaping and going.
Yeah.
She's just going.
Yeah, so Alexandria's gonna turn back and to the driver and just. Go home, alert Rex that something may be happening. Tell him to wait until he hears from us for further action.
Yes, ma'am, and if you need a ride again, just call for Bentley, as he turns around and drives off.
Alexandria just waits till he's further out of the distance. She's already running after Rosabella, and because I think it's only Echo with her, she just. Bentley, of course that's his name. God, how could I forgot? My man, how could I've forgotten that? And she's just gonna book it after Rosabella.
Alright, so, down an alley beside a building and the gate of the manor, which is a solid stone wall, solid stone fence, sorry, there is. The smell of blood grows stronger. And since you are technically the first ones to discover this, the Inquisition has not arrived yet, but a few rats are nibbling on the corpse of a Pomeranian. Looking
So
to
I-
be about maybe 10 to 12 years old. It is a male Pomeranian dressed in heavy armor with no obvious signs of death other than a single defensive wound on their left arm.
So I think before anyone can touch it, Alexandria holds out a hand. Just stop.
Obviously, Rosabella. I don't know if she necessarily wants to stop moving per se, but she does hesitate and just stop.
And with that, she just don't touch it.
I wasn't planning on it. Can I keep going?
Go find your sister, I'll be
She
here.
books it.
Yep.
Echo, if you wish to stay with me, you may. If not, I would recommend going after Rosabella in case she needs your aid. And Alexandria's going to go ahead and crouch down really quick. I imagine she keeps, like, gloves of some kind in her bag due to being a ratter. She knows not to leave, you know. She's going to take a deep breath, and she's going to start investigating the body. Seeing
Alright,
if
give
she
me
can
a
tell who
search
it
check.
is. Okay. Let me find the search.
Alright. You do immediately recognize this body. It is Misha Pomeranian, your second cousin, son of, what was it? It was Eric Pomeranian, who is your uncle, Rex's brother, the head of the Branch family.
Oh, fuck. So he would likely be one of the possible heirs to the Branch
Possible
family.
heirs to the Branch family, yes. With your 16, on closer inspection of the body, there is a single stab wound to the back of the neck. It is about the size of a stiletto dagger. And there is a single defensive wound on the left arm. This was a clear assassination.
Fuck.
Ah!
So, I think
A bunch of emotions play over Alexandria's features: shock, horror, repulsion. And I think the only thing she does is she reaches out, closes his eyes with her gloved fingers, bows her head, and just... May you walk beside man again, Misha. Whatever this was, Echo, it wasn't a fair fight. It was an assassination. No honorable Pomeranian would use a weapon such as this, but... Well, the Pomeranian family has plenty of enemies. Would Alexandria know if there was any way to summon anyone who was walking inside the grounds?
Yes.
From the outside.
So, being as you are from the main family, you have essentially direct control over the branch family. If you say jump, they have to say how high.
Right. So I think she takes a deep breath and hoping to man above someone will hear her, she starts barking and yelling and just trying to get the attention of any of the guards who would be making a round inside the branch family.
Yeah, it takes a moment for them to come out because they have to go around the long way. A few of the guards do come out and they see you standing over the body. The body is clearly cold. The blood has coagulated by now, so they can't, like, pin this on you. You've discovered the body. But
also, if it helps, she doesn't use a stiletto dagger.
Yeah. No, they start cordoning off the area and going through our the first guard on the scene. Are you okay, miss?
I'm fine, but can you go ahead and call the Inquisitors?
Yes. We sent a runner. They're on their way.
Of course. We arrived here with Rosabella. I've already sent her in. She was hoping to make connection with a acquaintance of hers. We had smelled the scent of blood, and I had come over here with... This is Echo, Shiba Inu. I had come over here to see exactly what was going on. If you look, and I think with that she'll bend down, her gloves still on, I went ahead and took a look at the body. I wanted to make sure that he was not breathing. And she kind of shakes her head and I'm sorry. But who among the forces of the family would be one to use a stiletto dagger versus... And she'll, produce her own dagger, which is uncovered in blood. It's not covered in blood or anything else. One such as I do.
None of us here would use a stiletto.
Right.
Even Lily doesn't use a stiletto. She uses a flat rapier.
So Alexandria will nod slowly, and I don't think she's actually been told Rosabella's sister's name, so to her that means nothing.
Yeah, but to them it means everything, because she's the family assassin.
Yeah. So I think she slowly nods and just... Was Misha involved in anything that you would be aware of?
No.
Have you alerted...
We'll have to look through his things, because he's always been the quiet sort, but...
Right. Have you alerted Eric, my uncle?
Not yet. We just arrived on the scene. I'll go tell him now.
Right. I would recommend being gentle with it. Send a runner as quickly as you can, though, as he needs to know.
Of course. I'll take care of it personally.
Right. How many runners does the family currently employ? I'm not quite sure for the branch family what staff you keep available.
We have enough. We have...
Right. Can you send another to Rex, to grandfather? I think it best that he also be aware as to this happening, as it could concern certain things with the entire family.
Of course.
Thank you. And would she know their name?
No. He's just a random guard. You wouldn't know his name from... You might have met him once in your entire life.
I wish they had name tags. That would make that easier.
Not invented yet.
Alexandria is going to invent it.
Just hello, my name is.
Yep. But yeah,
Only
he
for
will run
Alexandria
off
she
to
is.
the manor as he is sending another runner off to the main family. It will take quite a while for them to get there, but it doesn't take but about 15 minutes for the Inquisition to actually show up.
Right. So I think when they show up, Alexandria will straighten up just a little bit, bow her head in respect, and just, I took the liberty when we happened upon the body to go ahead and take a look. I wanted to assure that he was still breathing. He was not, but uh, I noticed something. If you would allow me.
Mm.
She'll kind of crouch down, kind of put her gloves back on, and turn his head just a little bit so that they can kind of see like that mark, like that stiletto thing. And just, I had asked in the Branch family if anyone in our employ regularly used this type of dagger, and it seems that no one does. So I'm not sure as to who could have had intent to harm a member of the family.
Of course.
I intend to leave you to your work, but if there's anything you need, feel free to ask me, or my uncle Eric is the head of this part of the family, so he may have more information concerning them if you have need for it, but I would be gentle as that Misha is his son.
Of course.
And she'll kind of like step back, bow her head, and if they don't need her.
He kind of makes a wave of his hands, and is it touch? No, it's so you can fight this if you want, but he is casting basically a area of effect calm emotion spell
Mm-hmm.
to basically calming everyone down in the area.
If she knows what it is, she won't fight it.
Yeah. This this particular inquisitor happens to be a shepherd.
Oh, hell yeah. Um,
Interesting.
Very interesting. The plot thickens. The shepherd did it.
Who's Colonel Mustard?
um, but if you have no need of me, I sent my companion in already, and I would prefer to have the chance to check on her.
No, you're fine. We will conduct our investigation properly, and since uh, we will not be giving you any information on, but we will share what information we have with the head of the household and the next of kin.
Of course, as is expected. Um, I will send him this way as soon as possible.
Of course.
And she'll kind of step back, take one more look towards Misha, and shake her head before kind of reaching over to grab Echo's paw if he's still there and dragging him inside the main house. Well, inside the Branch family, like inside the gates.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess we can fade the camera over to wherever Rosabella is.
Rosabella's
Yep.
running around like crazy, trying to figure out.
Yeah, so you ask a few people on the way in as they are pretty much just running around in circles like a chicken with their head cut off. You ask about your sister, and the first servant you get to, you're like, Lillian, you mean Lily?
Yes, Lily.
Oh, yeah. So she practices up in the belfry. She might be up there.
Thank you. And she runs towards that.
Yeah, it takes you a few minutes to get up all the stairs and actually climb the ladder, which I say ladder, but this is like two pieces of wood with pegs sticking out of it. Yeah, it is not a fully formed ladder. This is like an agility ladder.
Good thing that she is pretty good at strength.
Yeah. So you can climb it. It takes you a minute to get up it without like with the wobbling and the falling, but you get the
Pure
door
adrenaline.
open. Yeah.
Adrenaline.
You get the door open and it's seemingly empty. Go ahead and roll me a notice check.
Go, Jess, go.
Oh, good lord. Okay. Where'd it go?
It's fine. I still rolled through. I just had to help you.
Yep. Yeah, considering I rolled a nat 1 on her stealth.
Oh my god. She's a really loud assassin.
Okay, no, she's startled because this is
Yep.
the first meeting that they have had
Yeah.
in years.
She's expecting an intruder and just sees the head of her sister pop through the trap door. Is like, what the?
Rosabella just stares at her for a moment. Like, she hasn't even fully climbed up yet. She just stares at Liliana. Just, Lily.
Rosie.
Huh. Well, you've grown up.
Looking down at you with your head sticking out of the trapdoor. I can't exactly say the same about you right now.
Good point. Rosabella climbs up the rest of the way.
You are a
And-
good head and a half taller than her.
She just. Who's talking now, Shorty?
Yeah.
Rosabella just. All of her nerves have calmed down. And her shoulders kind of slump a little bit. And then all of a sudden the adrenaline starts to wear off and she just slides down. Just, oh, you're safe.
Well, of course I'm safe. What's going on? I heard the commotion, but She actually looks at a wristwatch on her hand. I was doing my normal meditation for training.
Uh, um, Commotion. What's going on? Oh, shoot, there's a dead body.
What?
Um, okay. Long story short, so I was coming to talk to you, because, well, freedom. And, uh, she's trying so hard because she's just exhaustion is hitting her.
Right.
And she just we were coming here so I could talk to you. Well, I was coming here and then it turned into we because found out that Alexandria's father had broken out of prison. And well, that put a lot of fear that something could happen to you. So I came here, we came here to check things out, only to run in and there was a dead body on the ground. I did not stay around long enough. I immediately ran to find you.
I'm fine, as you can see, but she immediately starts pulling on her leather armor and like, if there's a dead body, I need to go.
Yes. I need to go check on Alexandria. She immediately jumps back up.
Okay.
And it's just like...
It's a similar response from the both of you, like almost mirrored. And as she's pulling on her armor, like she pulls on the cuirass and starts pulling on the gauntlets, stops for half a second, wraps her arms around you in a quick hug, and then starts pulling on her leggings and the bracers and greaves.
Okay, I'd like to imagine that for that split hug for a second, Rosabella too hugged her so tight and then just like fixes herself back up and just downstairs. It was
Yep.
She explains the area where they had found the body, everything. Just
You explain where you found the body, and okay, let's take the fast way.
fast way.
She kicks the window bars and they swing open, and she hands you something. It kind of looks like a coat hanger. Takes one out herself, attaches it to a rope hanging above her head, and slides out the window.
Oh my god! Oh, Rosabella goes. Let's go.
Yep. From the belfry down, it takes the both of you about a minute to get to the wall, which it deposits you both on the top of the wall.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
You
hell
can
yeah.
actually see the Inquisition and Alexandria from where you're at on top of the wall.
I like to imagine this is happening as like Alexandria is grabbing onto Echo and taking off to go back into like the inside the gates of just her being like, we need to find Rosabella. Just
Okay, I assume that Rosabella, she's just watching it, just... Alexandria!
you just see Alexandria, her little ears like move first, and then she kind of like looks up slowly. And how close to her and Lily look, like look wise?
Other
I
than
mean-
being shorter,
They look exactly the same.
So you just see her eyes widen for like a second before that noble mask comes back up. And I think inside I think Echo's the only one that would be close enough to hear and just, oh god, there's two of them. And then she just, Rosabella! Are you alright?
Rosabella just kind of nods.
And she's gonna, because she knows what Rosabella's wearing, but she's gonna look at the other one just, you must be Rosabella's sister?
hi.
I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. We'll get a proper introduction out of the way in a bit.
Rosabella leans over to Liliana and just goes, she is always like this, by the way.
Yeah, she looks for the first time and sees the body on the floor. And you can see it goes from just the concern of there's a dead body to immediate grief. As Lily drops to her knees and starts crying.
Rosabella instantly drops down with her and holds her. Like, immediately, like, no questions asked, and just... I'm sorry.
If anyone in range, you don't have to, but you can give me a sense motive check.
Oh, okay. Do you wanna?
No, she's not going to.
Okay. Yummy.
Me doing this based off of just... with the emotions right now, she's not going to sense motive.
Yep, that's
Mhm.
perfectly
Thank you.
fine. Yeah, Echo, you're not... You wouldn't know her well enough to understand what it is. Neither are you.
Mm-mm.
As you're not far enough... you're not close enough to see, but Rosabella is, as she pulls a ring off of her finger and threads it onto a necklace around her neck.
So Rosabella just sees that happen. Oh, hold her tighter. And just whispers again in the, I'm so sorry.
And I think for tonight, that's where we're going to end it.
No! Talon! We have another hour, Talon!
We can go a little farther if you want,
Do you
but
wanna
I
go a
wanted
little
to leave
further?
it on a cliffhanger.
Oh, that is a good idea, though.
Yeah. Do you want to go a little further, or do you want to stop for the night?
Well, seeing as how we can get more answers from our next Saturday. 'Cause
Yeah.
I still can play next Saturday, so.
Yeah. I mean, you won't be here with me, though.
Oh, by the way, I ended up on the floor now.
She's on the floor. She's very sad.
I understand that. We can go for
Also-
another hour, though.
Bayo, are you still here?
Theo!
She's been sending
Well,
me questions.
I've been double muted. My mic is
Ow!
muted and Discord is
whore!
both muted. Oh.
That missed me.
Oh god, fuck, that one won't miss me. Ow! Fuck, oh, that was aimed at my face! Fuck! Sorry, we're handling a very important matter right now.
Yep.
Sure.
You fucking bitch!
Oopsies.
You knocked the
Sorry.
earbud out of my ear.
Sorry, just aimed specifically and got me right in the head.
Anyways. Oh, that was my throat.
I was aiming at like your clavicle.
Ouch.
Oh man.
This is what it's been like for hours. I'm so
Oh,
scared. now that you're behind
I'm
me.
understanding that.
I'm
Oh,
so scared.
Ice cream.
Ooh, yay.
Okay, love you, bye! Love you so much with my entire heart! But, I mean... Sorry.
Yep.
I'm really scared now that you have that, and you have all the bullets, and I have none because they've just all left me. But
really? You want to
Yes.
flip me off? I got a clear shot of you, bitch.
I love you so much. I love you with my entire heart. You're my favorite person. This is a hostage situation. This is what happened to Misha.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, I'm so fucking scared right now. I'm so fucking scared. I've never been more scared in my life. I'm so. That's
Keep
a power.
talking.
That's a power move. I'm so scared. You have a knife to my throat right now, essentially.
Oh, I found another bullet.
Oh. Don't put it. But Jess.
No.
But Jess.
You lost your bullet privileges.
Joke's on you. You've lost your bullet privileges.
I have the gun. Anyways, we were saying. Let's continue.
Yeah, we were saying continue.
Okay, we can continue then.
Oh, we're gonna continue. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
I thought that's what you were saying.
Well,
What
yes,
were you-
I want to, but at the same time, like, oh god.
Why don't we roll a d2 on a? I'm fine with continuing, just because I want to know more.
Yep.
And it's still gonna be a cliffhanger either way, Talon.
Yeah, fair.
I'm tired.
You're tired?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it being a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
tired.
I will
Yeah,
answer
we're
some
ready.
questions after session. How about that?
I will take
Yeah.
that.
I forgot we were
Yeah, we probably still are recording, yes.
Yes, we are still recording.
Forevermore will my fuck you bitch be recorded.
All right. Thank you for listening. Bye.